For 3,000 years, the galaxy had known peace. Empires rose and fell, planets changed hands, yet humans maintained a reputation unlike any other species. Known for their calm diplomacy, their intelligence, and their ability to adapt to situations that would crush others, humanity had earned respect and cautious admiration. Other species whispered about them in council chambers, comparing humans to predators that never revealed their true strength until the moment of decisive action. And yet, for all their power, humans never sought war, unless it was necessary, unless provoked. Adam stood on the observation deck of the flagship Resolute, a sleek vessel reflecting humanity's elegance and technical mastery. The vast expanse of stars stretched endlessly before him, glittering points of light that had witnessed millennia of peace, but now, for the first time in centuries, a chill ran through him. Something was wrong. The intelligence systems had picked up unusual movements near the outer border systems. Warships, previously dormant for decades, had activated. But it wasn't just their activation that concerned Adam, it was the manner in which they moved. The ships were not merely patrolling, they were shifting in formation, silent and coordinated, as though preparing for an operation that had been carefully planned over years. Adam's fingers tapped against the holographic interface, pulling up communications logs, sensor readings, and energy signatures. Subtle anomalies appeared. Signals that should have been clear and stable were intermittently jammed. Communication relays that had been reliable for centuries were experiencing interference in specific patterns. Adam frowned. "This isn't routine," he muttered. Lieutenant Mara, his communications officer, leaned over the console. "Sir, the interference isn't random. It's targeted. Someone, or something, is disrupting our relay networks. The outer colonies are reporting the same pattern." Adam's jaw tightened. "Show me the pattern analysis." Mara brought up a holographic map, displaying the affected sectors. The disruptions formed a deliberate path, like someone was testing the strength of human surveillance without engaging directly. "These aren't drills," Adam said quietly, almost to himself. "This is reconnaissance. They're probing our response times, our communication protocols, and our reaction strategies." The room fell silent as the senior officers absorbed the data. Across the galaxy, no one had seen aggression of this scale for 3 millennia. Diplomacy had ruled, treaties had prevented conflict, and intelligence networks had maintained balance. And now, for the first time in generations, that balance was tipping. The humans were calm, calculating, but the implications were enormous. Every species, every fleet, every colony system had grown complacent, trusting that the peace would last indefinitely. And now that illusion was shattered. Adam activated the Interstellar viewfinder, scanning the border systems. Tiny dots of light revealed the movement of warships, alien designs, aggressive patterns, and deliberate coordination. These were not explorers, not traders, and certainly not diplomats. The fleet had purpose, and the purpose was unmistakable: preparation for war. Yet humanity did not panic. That was their strength. While others might have screamed in fear, the humans analyzed, calculated, and prepared. Adam's voice, calm and assured, cut through the quiet. "Begin preliminary alerts. Contact all border stations and colonies. Activate defensive protocols without revealing full readiness. We do not want them to know we are aware, yet." The officers nodded, understanding the subtlety of the order. In human philosophy, strength often lay not in the display of power, but in the unseen readiness, the quiet assurance that when conflict arrived, humans would be more prepared than any aggressor could anticipate. Hours passed. Messages from distant colonies poured in, confirming the initial suspicion. Warships had appeared in formations, moving closer to neutral sectors and trade routes. Sensors picked up intermittent energy bursts, long-range scanning, not weapons fire, yet precise enough to indicate that the aliens knew their targets. Adam studied each report meticulously. "Every species thinks they can strike without consequence," he said. "Every species believes their intelligence is superior. They've forgotten one thing: humans adapt. Humans endure. Humans anticipate." His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of generations, a quiet confidence born of experience, survival, and ingenuity. The question that haunted Adam, however, was not just about the fleet's movements. It was about intent. Were these drills, as some allies suggested, or the prelude to a war the galaxy had not seen in thousands of years? Every anomaly, every signal jam, every unusual maneuver pointed toward deliberate planning. And yet, without a declaration of war, the humans had no clarity, no justification for preemptive strikes. Strategy required patience, and patience required restraint. Mara leaned closer. Sir, intelligence reports suggest subtle signs of coordination among previously neutral empires. They've sent envoys, but the envoys' signals are inconsistent. Some communications indicate loyalty, others suggest preparation. Someone is moving behind the scenes. Adam's gaze sharpened. Then this is no ordinary maneuver. This is a test of our vigilance, our patience, and our adaptability. We will respond, not in panic, not in rashness, but in precision. We will learn their plan before they strike, and when the time comes, humanity will be ready. The tension in the room was palpable. Other officers exchanged glances, the weight of impending conflict settling on them like gravity. Yet, unlike other species who might have reacted with fear, hysteria, or desperate measures, humans displayed a quiet, controlled confidence. They understood that strength lay not in the first strike, but in intelligence, anticipation, and calculated action. Adam activated the fleet-wide sensor matrix, overlaying energy readings from multiple sectors. A pattern emerged, clusters of ships moving in specific intervals, lines of warp-capable vessels converging on key trade routes, long-range scanners probing colonies for weaknesses. It was meticulous, methodical, and terrifying. Humanity had never faced aggression on this scale in 3 millennia, yet Adam did not flinch. Prepare countermeasures, he ordered. Calibrate our sensors to detect every anomaly. Deploy scouts discreetly. We do not engage yet. We observe, we learn, and we prepare. When the moment comes, they will not know what hit them. Emotion hung heavily in the command chamber. This was the first time in centuries that humans faced the real possibility of war, a war that could span the galaxy. Yet, the room was filled not with fear, but with purpose. Each officer, each crew member, understood the stakes and embraced the responsibility. They were human, adaptable, intelligent, and unyielding. The galaxy may have been shocked by the end of peace, but humanity smiled quietly in the face of uncertainty, for they had faced challenges far greater and survived. As the hours passed, Adam studied the communications jamming further. The signals were deliberate, almost subtle enough to suggest that the aliens assumed humans would overlook them. But humans rarely overlooked anomalies. Every interference, every irregularity, was logged, analyzed, and integrated into predictive models. This was humanity's edge, the ability to turn observation into anticipation, and anticipation into decisive action. Outside the observation deck, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to the movements of mortals, yet humanity's calm, precise preparation cut through the cosmic silence like a beacon. Every fleet, every station, every colony system aligned with silent efficiency. Humanity did not panic, humanity did not overreact, humanity prepared. Adam's thoughts returned to the fleet's purpose. We face uncertainty, he said softly, almost to himself. We face deception, betrayal, and potential war after 1,000 generations of peace. Yet, we endure. We adapt. We survive. And when the time comes, we act. Not out of fear, not out of anger, but with intelligence, precision, and unyielding will. The first warning had passed, but the storm was coming. Warships moved silently toward human space, signals flickered in patterns that hinted at impending conflict, and the galaxy trembled at the thought of the first war in 3,000 years. Humanity, however, did not tremble. They watched, they calculated, and they prepared. The first chapter of conflict had begun, not with chaos, not with fear, but with quiet confidence. And Adam, standing before the endless stars, understood the truth. The end of peace was merely the beginning of a test, and humanity would prove that even after 3 millennia of calm, they remained the most adaptable, intelligent, and unbreakable force in the galaxy. The warning had come. Humanity had seen it. And in the silence that followed, there was a smile, a quiet, unwavering confidence that the galaxy would soon witness the brilliance of human ingenuity, courage, and resolve. The message arrived without warning. No alarms. No explosions. Just a sudden priority signal that cut through every channel across human space. Adam was already awake when the red indicator appeared on the central display. He did not rush. He did not shout. He simply stood still, eyes fixed on the screen, as if he already knew what was coming. 3,000 years of peace had not made humans slow. It had made them patient. The signal expanded into a holographic projection. Alien symbols unfolded in a sharp, deliberate pattern. This was not a mistake. This was not a misunderstanding. This was formal. This was intentional. The translation systems activated automatically, and the words echoed through the command chamber, calm, cold, and filled with certainty. By decree of the unified Dominion, the age of peace is over. Humanity is hereby declared an obstacle to galactic order. This is a declaration of war. Silence followed. Not panic. Not chaos. Just silence. Across the galaxy, other species reacted instantly. Councils erupted into arguments. Trade worlds shut down. Border systems evacuated civilians. Ancient alliances fractured under fear. But in human space, something very different happened. People listened. They absorbed the words. And then they began to work. Adam slowly exhaled. His face showed no shock, no anger. Only focus. Confirm source, he said calmly. Verify encryption and origin. Lieutenant Mara's hands moved fast across the console. Confirmed. Dominion High Command. Direct broadcast. No spoofing. No hidden layers. She hesitated for a fraction of a second. They wanted us to hear it. Adam nodded. Of course they did. The hologram shifted. A new image appeared. An alien envoy stood tall, armored, surrounded by symbols of power and dominance. Its voice was sharp, almost mocking. Humans, it said, you have grown comfortable in peace. You believe diplomacy makes you strong. You believe restraint is wisdom. You are wrong. Peace has made you weak. This war will correct that mistake. Across the human fleet, crews watched the broadcast. Some clenched their fists. Some felt fear rise in their chests. But none of them panicked. Humanity had learned long ago that emotion without control was a weakness. Strength came from clarity. Adam stepped forward, hands clasped behind his back. End the broadcast, he ordered. The image vanished instantly. For a long moment, no one spoke. The weight of the declaration pressed on every mind in the room. 3,000 years. No major wars. No galaxy-wide conflict. Entire generations had lived and died without knowing what true war looked like. And now, it had returned. Sir, one officer finally said, voice tight, should we respond? Adam turned slowly. No. The room stiffened. No response, another asked. Not yet, Adam said. They declared war to provoke fear, to force reaction, to make us act before we think. We will not give them that. Outside the command chamber, human fleets shifted quietly. Defensive grids activated. Logistics systems rerouted supplies. Shipyards accelerated production. Every action was calm, precise, and silent. To the outside galaxy, it looked like nothing was happening. But inside human space, a machine older than the peace itself had awakened. Adam walked to the observation deck. Stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere beyond them, the Dominion fleet was moving. Confident. Arrogant. Certain that humans would react like everyone else. He almost smiled. The emotional weight of the moment settled slowly. Not as fear, but as memory. Humanity had faced extinction before. On their home world. In their early expansion. Against forces stronger, faster, and more numerous. They had survived every time. Not by brute strength, but by adaptation. By learning faster than their enemies. Mara joined him quietly. Other species are panicking, she said. Some are already sending surrender signals. Others are cutting ties with us. Adam nodded. Expected. And some, she added carefully, are watching us. That made him turn. Watching. Yes. They want to see how humans respond. If we break. Or if we become what the legends say. Adam looked back at the stars. Then let them watch. Across the galaxy, the declaration spread like fire. Worlds that had trusted peace now questioned everything. Old treaties felt fragile. Neutral empires began quietly choosing sides. The Dominion expected fear, expected chaos, expected humans to plead or threaten. Instead, they received nothing. No message, no protest, no outrage. This silence unsettled them. Dominion commanders reviewed sensor data. Human fleets were not advancing, not retreating, just adjusting. Communication traffic inside human space was increasing, but externally, everything was quiet. Too quiet. They are afraid, one Dominion strategist said confidently. They are buying time. Another hesitated. Or they are preparing. Back in Human Command, Adam addressed the senior staff. War has been declared, he said evenly. But war is not fought with emotion. It is fought with understanding. The Dominion believes peace weakened us. They believe calm means softness. They believe restraint means fear. He paused. They are wrong. Screens lit up with data. Fleet readiness. Resource flow. Predictive models. We will not rush to battle, Adam continued. We will not meet them where they expect. We will learn how they think, how they move, how they underestimate us. And when they strike, they will find not weakness, but preparation. The emotional tension shifted. Fear turned into resolve. Uncertainty into focus. This was the moment humanity had been preparing for without knowing it. 3,000 years of peace had not erased war from human memory. It had refined it. A junior officer spoke quietly. Sir, are we really ready for this? Adam looked at him, not unkindly. We are human, he said. That means we are never fully ready. But we are always capable of becoming ready faster than anyone else. Outside, the first Dominion fleets crossed into contested space. Not attacking yet. Just showing presence. A threat. A reminder. Human ships did not respond. Instead, deep within human networks, long-dormant protocols activated. Old strategies resurfaced. Experimental systems came online. The calm smile of humanity was not ignorance. It was confidence built on knowing what comes next. Adam stood alone again, watching the stars. War had been declared. Peace had ended. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for humanity to react with fear or anger. Instead, humanity smiled. Because they knew something the Dominion did not. Peace had not made humans weak. It had given them time. And now, that time was over. The first strike did not begin with explosions. It began with silence. A deep, unsettling silence that stretched across the border systems where human space met the unknown. Dominion warships drifted forward slowly, deliberately, as if daring humanity to react. Their formations were perfect. Their confidence absolute. They believed the declaration of war had already broken human resolve. They believed fear would slow human response. They believed wrong. Adam stood at the center of the command deck aboard the Resolute. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes missed nothing. Data streamed across the displays in quiet rivers of light. Every movement of the enemy fleet was tracked. Every energy fluctuation was logged. Humanity did not rush to meet the enemy. They waited. They learned. They prepared. Across the galaxy, allied species whispered nervously. Some begged humans to respond, to show strength, to push back before it was too late. Others quietly withdrew, unwilling to stand near a conflict they did not believe they could survive. Adam understood all of it. Fear made sense. But fear did not control humans. It never had. The first alert came from Outpost Alios, a small human monitoring station near the border. Sensors detected a sudden spike in Dominion energy output. Not weapons fire. Not yet. Long-range targeting systems. The enemy was locking onto civilian infrastructure. Trade lanes. Communication hubs. They were not attacking ships. They were attacking stability. Adam closed his eyes for a moment. This was the strike. Not loud. Not glorious. But cruel and precise. They are testing us, Mara said quietly. Seeing if we'll protect our people or hesitate. Adam opened his eyes. "We protect them," he said calmly. "But we do it our way." He raised his hand slightly. That was all it took. Across multiple systems, human fleets moved. Not in large, obvious formations. Small groups. Scout wings. Defense platforms that had been silent for centuries powered on. Dominion sensors registered movement, but the pattern made no sense. It was scattered. Disorganized. Weak. The Dominion commanders smiled. Then the human countermeasures activated. Communication jammers flooded specific Dominion channels, not blocking everything, just enough to create confusion. Navigation data flickered. Targeting solutions drifted by fractions of a second. To most species, it would have been insignificant. To a fleet built on perfect coordination, it was devastating. Adam watched the simulations update in real time. "Now," he said. Human strike craft emerged from shadowed regions of space the Dominion had not considered threats. They did not charge forward. They slipped sideways, using gravitational wakes, debris fields, and microjumps that human pilots had perfected over centuries of exploration. They did not fire immediately. They waited until every pilot had position, angle, and timing. Then they struck. Precision beams disabled Dominion sensor arrays. Not hulls. Not reactors. Eyes and ears. The enemy fleet staggered, suddenly blind in key sectors. Panic rippled through Dominion command channels as they scrambled to re-establish order. "They're not attacking us directly," a Dominion officer shouted. "They're dismantling our control." Human missiles followed, not explosive, but electromagnetic. Entire Dominion squadrons went dark, drifting helplessly as their systems shut down. Still, no killing blow. No destruction. Just control. Adam's voice remained steady. "Maintain pressure. Do not overextend. This is not a battle. This is a lesson." But the Dominion was not passive. Once the shock faded, their warships responded with overwhelming firepower. Energy lances tore through space. One human frigate took a direct hit, its shields collapsing in a flash of light. The crew barely escaped as the ship broke apart. For the first time, emotion cracked through the calm. Adam's hands clenched. "Rescue pods confirmed," Mara said quickly. "Survivors detected." Adam exhaled. "Good. Adjust formation. Draw their fire away from the escape vectors." Human pilots obeyed instantly. Without being ordered, several ships moved into danger, taking hits meant for retreating allies. One pilot, barely more than a trainee, held his position even as alarms screamed around him. "Why are you still there?" his commander demanded. "Because someone has to be," the pilot replied simply. Adam heard it. He said nothing. He didn't need to. That was humanity. The battle intensified. Dominion commanders realized too late that this was not a defensive reaction. It was a controlled demonstration. Humans were not trying to win the war today. They were showing how the war would be fought. Adaptation. Precision. Sacrifice. When Dominion forces attempted to regroup, they found their supply ships gone. Human stealth units had disabled them earlier, silently, efficiently. No explosions. No warning. Just absence. "This is impossible," a Dominion strategist said over intercepted channels. "They shouldn't be able to move this fast." Adam allowed himself a small, cold smile. The emotional weight of the moment pressed on him as reports of casualties arrived. Humans were hurt. Some were lost. Peace had not made them immune to pain. But it had taught them something vital. Survival required action, not fear. After 6 hours, the Dominion fleet withdrew from the border system. Not in defeat. Not in victory. But shaken. Human ships did not pursue. Silence returned. Adam surveyed the aftermath. Wreckage. Rescue operations. Medical teams working tirelessly. He walked through the command deck, stopping briefly beside a wounded pilot being evacuated. "You held the line," Adam said quietly. The pilot nodded, teeth clenched in pain. "Someone had to." "Yes," Adam replied. "And history will remember that." Across the galaxy, the message spread fast. The first strike had happened. Not as the Dominion expected. Not loud. Not brutal. But surgical. Humanity had responded to war not with rage, but with mastery. Adam returned to the observation deck. The stars looked the same as they always had. But everything had changed. This was only the beginning, Mara said beside him. Adam nodded. Yes. And now they know. The Dominion had declared war expecting fear. What they found was a smile backed by preparation. And the galaxy had just witnessed the first proof that 3,000 years of peace had not weakened humanity. It had perfected them. After the first strike, the galaxy did not breathe easier. It held its breath. Every system waited, every species watched, and every signal was examined twice. Humanity did not celebrate. There were no speeches, no victory calls, no loud displays of pride. Instead, there was silence and work. Repair crews moved through damaged ships. Medical teams treated the wounded. Command centers stayed active through endless cycles. War had arrived, and humans treated it as a responsibility, not a spectacle. Adam stood alone in the observation chamber of the Resolute as stars drifted slowly past. The first strike replayed in his mind, not the success, but the cost. Names already added to lists that should have never existed again after 3,000 years of peace. He felt the weight of command settle deeper into his chest. Calm did not mean numb. Control did not mean absence of pain. A soft alert broke the quiet. Not a warning. Not an attack. Something else. Captain, Mara's voice came through the channel, lower than usual. We found something. Adam turned. Where? Sector 18. Old deep space region. Pre-unification charts barely mention it. Adam frowned. Why were we scanning there? We weren't, she replied. The scans came from automated defense arrays that activated during the first strike. They picked up a structure. Massive. Power readings are wrong. Wrong meant impossible. Minutes later, Adam stood on the bridge as a projection filled the center of the room. A vast object floated in the darkness between stars. It was not a ship in the traditional sense. No clear engines. No weapon ports. No visible markings of any known species. It looked ancient. Silent. Waiting. Age estimate. Adam asked. Unknown, the science officer said. But initial data suggests it predates the peace by thousands of years. Possibly more. The room grew quiet. Any signs of life? Adam asked. No, came the reply. But there is internal power. Dormant. Not dead. Adam felt something stir. Not excitement. Not fear. Recognition without understanding. Send a probe, he said. The probe vanished into the structure through an opening that appeared only after the human signal reached it. Inside, the feed showed corridors larger than any human design, built with materials that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Symbols lined the walls, shifting subtly as if reacting to observation. This technology doesn't match any known alien architecture, Mara whispered. Or human. Adam's jaw tightened. Then why did it wake up when we did? The probe reached a central chamber. At its heart stood a console. Simple. Clean. Familiar in a way that made no logical sense. It's human-scaled, the science officer said slowly. Adam did not respond immediately. He remembered the ancient stories, the dismissed theories, the half-forgotten legends buried in old data archives. Whispers that humanity had once walked paths erased by time. That peace had not always been their role. Prepare a boarding team, Adam said. Hours later, Adam stood inside the structure himself. The silence was different here. Heavy. Respectful. The air felt charged, like a held breath. Each step echoed with significance. The console waited at the center of the chamber, dark and inactive. Mara stood beside him. If this is a trap. It's not, Adam said quietly. He didn't know how he knew. He just did. He reached out. The moment his fingers touched the surface, the chamber came alive. Light flowed along the walls like veins igniting. Symbols shifted, aligning into patterns that made sense. Not words. Meaning. A voice echoed, not through sound, but through understanding. Human presence confirmed. Adam froze. Legacy access granted. The team stood in stunned silence as the structure awakened fully. Star maps unfolded in the air, displaying regions far beyond known space. Tactical data. Defensive systems. Records of conflicts long erased from galactic memory. This isn't alien, Mara breathed. This is human. Adam felt his chest tighten. No, he said softly. This is what humanity became, and chose to forget. The voice continued. This archive was sealed after the last extinction-level conflict. Humanity elected peace. This system was hidden to ensure survival through restraint. Images filled the chamber. Humans standing against horrors the galaxy had never recorded. Wars that reshaped stars. Sacrifices so complete they rewrote history itself. Adam understood now. Peace was not humanity's weakness. It was their decision. Tears burned at the edges of his vision as the realization settled. 3,000 years of calm were not born from helplessness, but from victory so complete it frightened even the victors. What does it do? Mara asked quietly. Adam looked at the projections. Defensive networks. Adaptive technologies. Not weapons of destruction, but control. Protection. Balance. It gives us options, he said. And reminders. The voice spoke one final line. When humanity smiles in war, it is because it remembers what it once survived. Adam stepped back from the console. The chamber dimmed, returning to a quiet readiness. Outside, the galaxy still trembled at the thought of war. The Dominion prepared their next move, confident that humans had already shown their best. They were wrong. Humanity had just rediscovered a part of itself it had buried not out of shame, but out of mercy. And now, with peace broken and survival at stake, that mercy was no longer guaranteed. The counteroffensive did not begin with a roar. It began with a decision. A quiet, heavy decision made in rooms where voices stayed low and faces carried the weight of history. Humanity had rediscovered its buried legacy, and now it had to choose how to use it. Adam stood before the Command Council, the ancient human system's data hovering around him like a silent storm. Every option glowed with possibility and danger. Power always demanded restraint, and restraint was hardest when survival was at stake. We do not become what we once feared, Adam said calmly. We do not erase worlds. We do not burn cities. We end threats by breaking their ability to threaten. The council listened. Some were afraid. Some were relieved. All understood. The legacy system was not a weapon of rage. It was a tool of control, designed by humans who had learned the cost of excess the hard way. Across the border systems, Dominion fleets regrouped. They had tasted resistance but believed it temporary. Their numbers were vast. Their doctrine simple. Overwhelm. Destroy. Move on. They did not understand the change that had already taken place. Human fleets moved again, this time with purpose sharpened by knowledge. Routes once thought unsafe became corridors of movement. Old defense platforms awakened and synchronized with modern ships seamlessly, as if centuries had passed only in name. Pilots felt it immediately. Their systems responded faster. Shields adapted to incoming fire. Navigation predicted enemy maneuvers seconds before they happened. Adam watched from the Resolute as the first phase unfolded. Human ships did not rush the enemy lines. They slipped through gaps no one else would have dared to use. They struck logistics first. Fuel depots vanished into darkness as systems shut down. Command relays went silent. Dominion fleets began to drift, confused and isolated. The enemy fired back with fury. Energy weapons lit the void. Several human ships took hits, shields flaring, hulls groaning. A destroyer lost power and spun helplessly, alarms screaming across its decks. Adam felt the familiar tightening in his chest. Redirect support, he ordered. No ship left behind. Human corvettes broke formation without hesitation, sliding into danger to shield the disabled vessel. Their pilots knew the risk. They accepted it without words. Rescue teams launched even as enemy fire passed close enough to rattle bones. On the disabled destroyer, a young engineer worked with shaking hands, rerouting power through damaged conduits. Sparks burned her arms. Smoke filled the corridor. She thought of home, of peace, of how war had returned too fast. Then the lights stabilized. "We're back," she whispered. Cheers broke out across the human channels, brief and controlled. There was no time to celebrate. The counteroffensive pressed on. Adam authorized the next phase. Legacy systems activated across multiple sectors, not visibly, not dramatically. Enemy targeting data began to fail. Weapon calibration drifted. Dominion commanders shouted orders that arrived too late or not at all. Panic spread. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind that broke confidence. "This is impossible," a Dominion captain transmitted openly, his voice tight. "They're inside our systems." They were not inside. They were ahead. Human forces struck key enemy flagships next, not to destroy them, but to disable command authority. Boarding teams moved with precision, securing control nodes, cutting power, forcing surrender without massacre. Some Dominion crews resisted. Some laid down arms in stunned silence, unable to understand why they were still alive. Adam watched the casualty reports closely. Losses existed. War always demanded them. Each name hurt. Each one mattered. Humanity did not pretend otherwise. Mara stood beside him, eyes fixed on the data. "They're pulling back," she said. "Not retreating. Reorganizing." Adam nodded. "They've realized brute force won't work." "And that scares them," she added. "Yes," Adam said softly. "It should." The emotional weight of the moment pressed on every human ship. Pilots fought through exhaustion. Medics worked without rest. Commanders made choices that would follow them forever. But beneath the strain was something else. Resolve. Quiet and unbreakable. The counteroffensive reached its climax at the Virex corridor, a choke point the Dominion believed unassailable. Human fleets approached openly this time, no stealth, no misdirection. A clear message. The Dominion responded with everything they had. The battle was fierce. Space burned with energy fire. Human shields adapted in real time, changing frequency, absorbing impact. Legacy guidance systems predicted enemy volleys, allowing ships to move before the shots arrived. It looked like foresight. It felt like destiny. Still, humans were hit. A cruiser took a direct strike and broke apart. Escape pods scattered. Adam's heart sank. "Rescue operations," he ordered immediately. "Now." Under fire, human ships moved to save their own. Some took damage doing so. None turned away. When the fighting ended, the corridor belonged to humanity. The Dominion fleet withdrew in disarray, leaving behind disabled ships and stunned crews. Silence followed, heavy and absolute. Adam leaned back in his chair, exhaustion finally catching up. His hands trembled slightly. He let it happen. Control did not mean denial. Across the galaxy, observers watched in disbelief. Humanity had not unleashed destruction. It had demonstrated mastery. The message was clear to friend and enemy alike. Peace had ended. But humanity had not forgotten how to protect it. Adam looked out at the stars once more. The counteroffensive was over. The war was not. "This changes everything," Mara said quietly. Adam nodded. "Yes," he replied. "Now they will stop asking if we are dangerous." He paused, eyes steady. "They will start asking how far we are willing to go." And that question, more than any weapon, would decide the future of the galaxy. The galaxy reacted slowly to the counteroffensive. Not because it did not see it, but because it did not understand it. For 3,000 years, humanity had been the quiet center of diplomacy, the steady voice that calmed disputes and built bridges. Now that same voice had spoken through action, and it carried weight that shook old beliefs. Systems that once looked away now watched closely. Races that had doubted humans began to question their own choices. Adam sat in the diplomatic chamber aboard the Resolute, surrounded by empty seats that were slowly filling. Holographic envoys appeared one by one, their forms shimmering with uncertainty. Some represented species that had stood with humanity for centuries. Others belonged to governments that had withdrawn the moment war was declared. Their faces carried fear, regret, and calculation. The first to speak was Ambassador Krell of the Varn Collective, an old ally. His voice trembled slightly. Humanity has shown strength beyond expectation. We wish to reaffirm our alliance. Adam met his gaze calmly. You never broke it, he said. You only went silent. Krell lowered his head. Silence was our mistake. Others were not so honest. Representatives of border empires spoke carefully, praising human restraint while avoiding responsibility. Adam listened without interruption. He let them speak until their words ran out. Then he stood. Peace does not survive on words alone, Adam said evenly. For 3,000 years, humanity believed unity was enough. We believed shared values would hold when tested. This war has shown us that unity without courage is fragile. The chamber fell quiet. We do not demand loyalty, Adam continued. We demand clarity. Stand with us, openly and fully, or step aside. There will be no punishment for fear. But there will be no protection for hesitation. The message was simple and terrifying. Across the galaxy, fleets shifted course. Some turned toward human space, broadcasting alliance codes they had not used in generations. Others retreated deeper into neutral territory, unwilling to commit. Adam watched the data streams update in real time. Trust was reforming, but it was changing shape. One signal caught his attention. A small coalition of minor species, long ignored and often exploited by larger powers, requested immediate talks. They had no large fleets. No advanced weapons. Only strategic positions and fierce determination. They're risking everything, Mara said quietly. If the Dominion wins, they'll be wiped out. Adam nodded. Which means they believe we won't lose. The meeting was brief. The coalition did not ask for protection. They offered intelligence, supply routes, and safe harbors. In return, they asked for recognition. Equality. Adam accepted without hesitation. You stood when others hid, he told them. That matters. As alliances reforged, not all emotions were hopeful. Tension lingered. Old wounds reopened. Some humans questioned whether trust was worth the cost. Adam felt it too. Every betrayal echoed louder now that war had returned. That night, he walked through the medbay. Rows of wounded soldiers rested in silence. Some slept. Some stared at the ceiling, eyes distant. He stopped beside a veteran pilot who had fought in the counteroffensive. Do you regret it? Adam asked softly. The pilot looked at him, tired but steady. No, he said. I regret that it took war to remind the galaxy who we are. Adam placed a hand on the edge of the bed. We will try to make it mean something. The alliance began to move as one within days. Shared intelligence improved reaction times. Joint patrols stabilized threatened systems. Dominion advances slowed as resistance grew more coordinated. For the first time since the war began, fear shifted direction. But not all allies were clean. Adam received reports of double signals. Incomplete data. Delayed responses. The signs of hesitation remained. During a high-level briefing, Mara voiced what many felt. Some of them are waiting to see who wins. Adam nodded. They always are. Do we confront them? No, Adam replied. We outperform them. The emotional core of the alliance hardened. Humanity did not lead through dominance. It led through consistency. Every promise was kept. Every rescue attempted. Every shared system defended, even when it cost human lives. Slowly, trust grew not from words, but from action. The Dominion noticed. Intercepted transmissions revealed growing concern. Their strategy relied on isolation, on breaking unity before it formed. Now, humanity was doing the opposite. It was turning vulnerability into strength. They underestimated our influence, a Dominion strategist said bitterly over an open channel. They underestimated our patience, Adam replied quietly as he listened. The alliance was not perfect. It never would be. But it was real. Built not on fear of humanity, but belief in it. As Adam looked across the assembled fleets of multiple species moving together through the stars, he felt a heavy emotion settle in his chest. Pride mixed with sorrow. Hope balanced by responsibility. Peace had ended. But something stronger was taking its place. Not dominance. Not revenge. Unity forged under fire. And that unity would soon be tested harder than ever before. The trap was not hidden. That was what made it dangerous. The Dominion did not bother with secrecy anymore. They wanted humanity to see it, to feel the pressure building, to doubt the unity it had just forged. A massive enemy fleet appeared near the Caro's Passage, a vital junction connecting Allied systems. It was too perfect. Too still. Too inviting. Every strategist in the galaxy saw the same thing and felt the same chill. Adam studied the projection in silence. Enemy ships layered in defensive rings, power signatures humming steadily, weapons charged but not firing. Behind them lay a clear path into Dominion-controlled space. A challenge. A promise. "They want us to come," Mara said quietly. "Yes," Adam replied. "And they want us to come together." Allied commanders filled the briefing chamber, their voices overlapping with concern. Some argued for caution. Others demanded action, fearing that hesitation would shatter confidence. Old fears crept back in, whispers of betrayal and abandonment echoing between sentences. "This is a kill zone," one alien admiral said sharply. "If we commit everything, and they close it, we lose everything," another finished. Adam let the tension build. Then he spoke. "They expect us to rush," he said calmly. "They expect panic. They expect our alliance to crack under pressure." He paused, eyes steady. "We will give them none of that." The plan was risky. It required trust not just in strategy, but in people who had once faltered. Human fleets would enter the passage first, openly, drawing Dominion focus. Allied forces would hold position just outside sensor range, ready to respond only if needed. It was a test. Not of firepower, but of loyalty. As the operation began, Adam felt the weight of every decision settle heavily. Human ships moved into the Caro's Passage, their drives glowing against the darkness. Dominion weapons tracked them instantly. Power levels spiked. No shots were fired. Seconds stretched into minutes. The silence was suffocating. On the bridge of the Resolute, crew members held their breath. Adam kept his hands steady, his face calm. Inside, his heart pounded. Then the trap snapped shut. Hidden Dominion fleets surged from hyperspace, sealing the passage behind the humans. Energy barriers flared, cutting off retreat. The main enemy force advanced, weapons charging to full output. "They've closed it," Mara said. "We're surrounded." Adam nodded. "Signal the Allies." The message went out. Nothing happened. For a moment that felt like an eternity, there was only silence on the Allied channels. Doubt stabbed deep. Adam felt it too, sharp and personal. He had asked others to trust humanity. Now humanity waited to see if that trust would be returned. Dominion commanders did not wait. They opened fire. The first volleys slammed into human shields, space lighting up with violent color. Several ships took heavy damage. One frigate lost its engines, drifting helplessly as enemy fire closed in. "Reinforcements?" someone asked, voice tight. Adam stared at the sensor data, jaw clenched. "Hold," he said. Human ships maneuvered tightly, covering each other, adapting under fire. Legacy systems pushed shields beyond expected limits, but strain showed. Hulls buckled. Alarms screamed. The cost was real. On the disabled frigate, the captain ordered his crew to evacuate, knowing the ship would not survive. As escape pods launched, Dominion weapons targeted them without hesitation. "Protect the pods," Adam ordered immediately. Human ships moved instinctively, sliding into firing arcs, taking hits meant for the helpless. One corvette's shields failed completely, its hull tearing open. It exploded in silence. Adam closed his eyes for a fraction of a second. Then Allied signals flared to life. Multiple hyperspace signatures erupted around the Caro's Passage. Allied fleets poured in, weapons hot, formations tight. Species that had once hesitated now charged without pause. They did not hesitate. They did not slow. "They came," Mara whispered. Adam opened his eyes. The trap broke. Allied fire tore into the Dominion flanks, targeting the very ships sealing the passage. Energy barriers collapsed under the sudden pressure. Human ships surged forward, regrouping with renewed strength. The battle turned chaotic. Dominion commanders shouted orders, trying to regain control. Too late. The Alliance moved as one, striking with coordination born not from fear, but commitment. Still, the cost mounted. Ships burned. Lives were lost. War did not care about intentions. At the height of the battle, a Dominion flagship attempted to ram the Resolute, its captain desperate to end the conflict by decapitation. Adam watched it approach, massive and unstoppable. Evasive maneuvers, Mara called. Adam shook his head. No. Human gunners fired with perfect timing, disabling the flagship's engines seconds before impact. Boarding teams followed, securing the vessel amid fierce resistance. When the Dominion captain was captured, his expression was one of disbelief. You trusted them, he said bitterly. They would have abandoned you. Adam looked at him calmly. They already chose, he replied. When the fighting finally ended, the Caro's passage belonged to the Alliance. The trap lay in ruins. Silence returned, heavier than before. Adam walked through the damaged corridors of the Resolute afterward, the sounds of repair echoing softly. He stopped at the memorial display as names scrolled slowly past. Human. Alien. Allied. Unity had been proven. But it had been paid for in blood. Mara stood beside him. They'll try again, she said. Yes, Adam replied. But not like this. He looked out at the Allied fleets holding formation together, scars visible on every hull. The galaxy has seen it now, he said quietly. We do not stand alone. The trap had failed. And in its failure, it had forged something the Dominion could no longer break. The galaxy did not realize the war had turned until it was already too late to stop it. There was no single explosion, no dramatic announcement, no moment of sudden victory. The turning point came quietly, hidden inside patterns only humans were patient enough to see. After the trap at the Caro's passage failed, the Dominion still had more ships, more territory, more raw power. But something essential had shifted. Confidence had cracked. Certainty had begun to bleed away. Adam stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching long-range projections update in slow, steady motion. The Allied fleets were repairing, reorganizing, breathing after the storm. Dominion movements, once aggressive and direct, now showed hesitation. Fleets paused before advancing. Patrols doubled back. Supply routes shifted without reason. Fear had entered their calculations. They are no longer planning to win, Mara said quietly as she studied the data. They are planning to survive. Adam nodded. That means they finally understand us. Human strategy changed again, subtly. There were no grand charges. No attempts to crush the enemy in one blow. Instead, humans applied pressure everywhere, lightly but constantly. Small task forces appeared near Dominion borders, never staying long enough to be destroyed. Intelligence strikes exposed hidden bases, not to attack them, but to show they had been found. Dominion commanders began sleeping less. Trust inside their ranks eroded. The emotional toll of the war deepened on all sides. On human ships, fatigue settled into bones and minds. Pilots flew on instinct and discipline. Medics worked until their hands shook. Messages from home arrived less often now, filtered through damaged networks. Adam read them all anyway. Words of pride. Fear. Love. Responsibility pressed harder with each passing day. Then came the moment that changed everything. A small Allied listening post near Dominion core space detected an anomaly. A massive energy fluctuation, carefully hidden, pulsing beneath layers of deception. Not a weapon. Not a shield. A control nexus. The heart of Dominion fleet coordination. They built everything around it, the intelligence officer reported. If it goes dark, their fleets lose centralized command. Mara frowned. It's deep inside their territory. Getting there would be costly, Adam finished. Silence filled the bridge. Adam looked at the projection, then at the fleet status reports. He saw the exhaustion, the damage, the names already lost. He also saw the opportunity. Not to destroy the Dominion, To end the war. We won't attack it directly, Adam said finally. The room looked at him, confused. We will show them we can, he continued. Then we will stop. The plan that followed was simple and terrifying. A single human task force would penetrate deep into Dominion space, bypassing major defenses using legacy navigation patterns only humans possessed. They would reach the outer perimeter of the control nexus, disrupt its shielding just enough to be detected, and then withdraw. No destruction. No occupation. A message without words. Volunteers came forward immediately. Too many. Adam chose carefully. As the task force departed, Adam felt something twist inside him. He had sent people into danger not to win, but to prove restraint. It was the hardest kind of command. The operation unfolded in near silence. Human ships slipped through shadows of space where Dominion sensors could not see clearly. Several times, patrols passed close enough that a single mistake would have meant annihilation. The crews held their breath. Training took over. When the task force reached the nexus, they acted with precision. Human systems interfaced briefly, just long enough to collapse a section of shielding and expose the structure's signature to Dominion command. Then they left. No alarms. No explosions. Just knowledge. Within hours, Dominion fleets across multiple sectors froze. Confusion erupted. Orders contradicted each other. Some commanders demanded immediate counterattack. Others called for withdrawal. The Central Command scrambled to understand how humanity had reached a place they believed unreachable. Adam watched intercepted transmissions scroll past, his expression unreadable. They know, Mara said softly. They know we could have ended them. Yes, Adam replied. And that we chose not to. The emotional impact rippled across the galaxy. Allied worlds celebrated cautiously, understanding that the war was not over, but something fundamental had changed. Neutral systems began opening their borders to human diplomats again. Old enemies went quiet. On Dominion worlds, citizens looked at the stars with fear not of destruction, but of judgment. That night, Adam stood alone again in the observation chamber. He thought of the ancient humans who had built the legacy systems, who had chosen peace after surviving horrors no one remembered. He finally understood them fully. Power was not proven by how much you could destroy. It was proven by how much you could spare. Mara joined him quietly. Do you think they will surrender? Adam did not answer immediately. He watched the stars drift by, endless and calm. They will change, he said finally. Or they will break themselves trying not to. The turning point had passed. From this moment on, the Dominion would never again see humanity as a peaceful neighbor that could be pushed aside. They would see them as a force that understood war deeply enough to end it. And that understanding was more terrifying than any weapon. The deep strike was never meant to be seen as victory. It was meant to be felt. After the turning point, the galaxy waited for humanity to press harder, to finish what it had clearly proven it could end. The Dominion expected destruction. Their commanders reinforced core systems, evacuated civilian centers, and prepared for the worst kind of war. They misunderstood humanity one final time. Adam stood before the Alliance Command Council, his face calm but heavy with resolve. We go deeper, he said simply. Not to conquer. Not to punish. We go to remove their ability to choose war again. Some allies shifted uncomfortably. Deep strikes into enemy territory were dangerous even in the best conditions. Losses would be unavoidable. Adam knew it. He felt it. This will cost us, an allied general said quietly. Yes, Adam replied. But less than letting this war continue. The strike force was small by design. Human ships, supported by a few allied vessels that volunteered knowing the risk. No massive fleets. No overwhelming presence. Just precision and purpose. Every ship carried crews who understood that they might not return. None of them hesitated. As the task force crossed into deep Dominion space, the stars themselves seemed different. Denser. Colder. This was not frontier territory. This was home ground for the enemy. Detection systems brushed against the human ships like unseen fingers. Several times, alarms flickered, then faded as human systems adapted in real time. On the bridge of the Resolute, Adam monitored every heartbeat of the operation. He spoke little. There were no words that could make this easier. The first target was a Dominion logistics world, not heavily defended but critical. Human forces did not bombard it. They infiltrated its orbital control systems, disabling military transport coordination while leaving civilian networks untouched. Supply lines froze. Fleets far from home realized too late that fuel and ammunition would not arrive. Dominion commanders panicked. Orders flooded channels, conflicting and desperate. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others called for defense of core worlds. The unity that once defined the Dominion fractured under pressure. The second target cut deeper. A central communication hub that linked Dominion military command across multiple regions. Human operatives boarded the station quietly, moving through corridors filled with stunned personnel. There was resistance, brief and fierce. Lives were lost on both sides. Adam felt each one like a weight added to his chest. When the hub went dark, Dominion fleets across 3 sectors fell silent. One human ship did not make it out. The cruiser Dawn's Edge took a direct hit while covering the retreat of Allied vessels. Its captain refused evacuation until the last shuttle launched. The ship vanished in a flash of light. On the Resolute, no one spoke. Names appeared on the casualty list. Too many. Adam closed his eyes. For a moment, the calm cracked. Grief pressed hard, threatening to overwhelm discipline. He let it exist. Then he breathed. They saved lives, Mara said softly. Yes, Adam replied. And they will be remembered. The final phase of the deep strike targeted the heart of Dominion military doctrine. Not a place. A belief. Humans transmitted evidence across open channels, recordings showing how deeply human forces had penetrated, how close they had come to ending everything, and how deliberately they had stopped. The message was simple. We can reach you. We choose not to destroy you. End this. The emotional impact was immediate. Dominion citizens flooded their internal networks with questions their leaders could not answer. Why had humanity spared them? Why had their command promised inevitable victory when defeat had been so close? Protests erupted on multiple worlds. Military commanders argued openly. Some fleets refused orders to advance, citing lack of supplies and broken coordination. The war machine began to tear itself apart. Adam watched it happen, not with satisfaction, but with solemn understanding. This was the true cost of war. Even restraint left scars. The deep strike force returned battered but intact. Ships limped home, hulls scarred, crews exhausted beyond words. Allied fleets welcomed them in silence, understanding that celebration would be wrong. That night, Adam stood again before the memorial display. The list had grown longer. He read every name. Mara joined him. "We're close," she said quietly. "Yes," Adam replied. "But close does not mean finished." He looked out at the stars, thinking of the Dominion captain he had spoken to earlier in the war, of the fear and disbelief in his eyes. Humanity had not smiled because it enjoyed war. It smiled because it understood it, and because it knew how to end it without becoming lost inside it. The deep strike had done what no fleet battle ever could. It had broken the Dominion's will to continue. The galaxy felt it. Allies prepared for negotiations. Neutral systems leaned toward peace. Even enemies watched in silence. The end was coming. But before it arrived, humanity would have to make one final choice. And that choice would define not just the war, but the future of the galaxy itself. Victory did not arrive with cheers. It arrived with silence, heavy and uncertain. After the deep strike, the galaxy waited for humanity to finish the war the way wars usually ended. Entire worlds prepared for destruction. Dominion leaders locked themselves behind shields and protocols written for extinction-level conflict. Everyone expected the final blow. Humanity did not give it. Adam stood in the central strategy chamber, surrounded by projections of fleets, systems, and probabilities. Every model showed the same thing. Humanity could end the Dominion in weeks. The legacy systems made it possible. The alliance was strong enough. The enemy was fractured, exhausted, afraid. And yet Adam did not give the order. "We have won the war," one Allied commander said carefully. "All that remains is enforcement." Adam looked at the faces around him. Some were human. Some alien. All were tired. All had lost something. Enforcement of what? Adam asked quietly. No one answered. He activated a new projection. Not fleets. Not targets. Casualty estimates. Civilian impact. Long-term instability models. The room darkened as the numbers appeared. Billions displaced. Systems collapsing. Cycles of revenge extending centuries into the future. This is what victory looks like if we choose destruction, Adam said calmly. Mara stepped closer. And if we don't? Adam changed the display again. Negotiation pathways. Disarmament protocols. Shared oversight structures. Risks were still there. Betrayal was possible. Peace was never guaranteed. This, Adam said, is what victory looks like if we choose responsibility. The room filled with tension. Some commanders shifted uncomfortably. They had buried friends. Lost ships. Carried grief that demanded an answer. They started this, one voice said. Why should we be the ones to stop? Adam nodded slowly. Because we are the ones who can. The victory plan took shape not as an attack, but as a framework. Humanity would not conquer Dominion space. It would isolate it. Secure borders. Neutralize remaining offensive capabilities with oversight rather than annihilation. Most importantly, it would offer the Dominion a choice that preserved dignity without denying accountability. A single condition stood at the center of the plan. The Dominion must publicly admit defeat. Not humiliation. Acknowledgement. This will break their old leadership, Mara said quietly. Yes, Adam replied. And allow something new to grow. When the message was prepared, Adam reviewed it alone. No threats. No insults. Just truth. We can end you. We choose not to. Stand down, or stand alone. The transmission was sent across every known Dominion channel, unencrypted, impossible to hide. The weight that followed was unbearable. Hours passed. Then days. Small skirmishes continued at the edges, but no major movements. Dominion fleets held position, uncertain. Allied commanders asked for updates Adam could not give. During that time, Adam walked among the people. He visited ship crews. Spoke to medics. Sat quietly with families receiving messages from the front. He listened more than he spoke. He carried their pain with him. One young officer finally asked the question no one else would. What if they refuse? Adam looked at her steadily. Then we will do what we must, he said. But we will know we tried. The response came at last. A Dominion broadcast. Live. Unfiltered. An aging Dominion leader appeared on screen, his posture rigid, his eyes tired. We misjudged humanity, he said. We believed peace meant weakness. We were wrong. The galaxy went silent. We accept the conditions, the leader continued. We will stand down. Across Allied space, reactions were mixed. Relief. Anger. Disbelief. Tears. Adam felt them all wash through him. The victory plan moved forward immediately. Fleets disengaged carefully. Oversight teams deployed. Legacy systems monitored compliance without intrusion. Humanity did not relax. Peace required vigilance. Adam stood once more in the observation chamber as the stars drifted calmly past. The war was effectively over. But its echoes would last far longer. Mara joined him. You could have ended them, she said softly. Yes, Adam replied. And you didn't. Adam's voice was steady, but emotion lived beneath it. Because the last time humans won a war like that, we spent thousands of years recovering from ourselves. The galaxy watched humanity closely now. Not with fear alone. With respect. And something new. Trust. Victory had been achieved not through destruction, but through restraint. And that restraint would define the peace to come. One final chapter remained. The war did not end with celebration. It ended with silence that felt different from before. Not the heavy silence of fear, but the quiet of something finally settling into place. Across the galaxy, weapons powered down. Fleets slowed. Borders that had burned with tension returned to watchful calm. The Dominion stood down exactly as promised. No last strike. No hidden attack. For the first time since the declaration of war, humanity allowed itself to breathe. Adam stood on the bridge of the Resolute as confirmation after confirmation arrived. Enemy fleets disengaging. Command nodes shutting down. Communication channels reopening. Each report felt unreal, like a dream that could still collapse at any moment. He did not smile. Not yet. All sectors confirm compliance, Mara said softly. Her voice carried exhaustion and relief woven together. It's over. Adam nodded, but his eyes stayed on the stars. The fighting is over, he replied. The consequences are just beginning. Across Allied space, leaders gathered not to praise victory, but to rebuild. Emergency councils focused on food routes, medical aid, displaced populations. Humanity offered help first, not just to allies, but to former enemies as well. Some questioned it. Adam did not. We end wars by ending reasons for the next one, he said simply. The Dominion delegation arrived days later under heavy escort. No weapons. No threats. Just representatives carrying the weight of a fallen certainty. When they stood before Adam, there was no arrogance left. Only honesty shaped by loss. We believed peace meant decay, the Dominion leader said quietly. We were wrong. You were not weak. You were disciplined. Adam listened. He did not argue. He did not accuse. Strength without control destroys itself, he replied. We learned that lesson long ago. The agreements were signed. Borders redrawn. Oversight accepted. The legacy systems returned to dormancy, watching silently once more. Humanity did not erase them. It remembered why they existed. When the final document was sealed, the galaxy officially entered a new era. Not peace built on fear. Peace built on understanding. That night, Adam walked alone through the memorial hall aboard the Resolute. The list of names glowed softly. Human. Alien. Allied. He stopped before each one. He remembered faces. Voices. Choices made in seconds that lasted forever. Mara joined him quietly. They'll remember this war, she said. 4 generations. Yes, Adam replied. But not the way wars are usually remembered. He turned away from the display and looked out at the stars through the wide viewport. They looked the same as always. Endless. Indifferent. Beautiful. 3,000 years ago, he said softly, humanity chose peace because it knew what it was capable of. Today, the galaxy knows too. Mara watched him carefully. And if another war comes? Adam did not hesitate. Then we will face it the same way. Calm. Prepared. Human. Across the galaxy, stories spread. Of a species that smiled when war came not because it desired conflict, but because it understood survival. Of humans who fought with precision, protected even their enemies, and chose restraint when destruction was easy. The phrase became legend. When humanity smiles, it is not because it loves war. It is because it knows how to end it. Adam left the bridge for the last time as captain of a warship. The Resolute would return to patrol duty, watching, guarding, waiting. Peace did not mean sleep. It meant responsibility. As the ship turned toward home, Adam allowed himself one final moment of reflection. The war had tested humanity's strength, but more importantly, its character. And humanity had passed. The galaxy moved forward. Older. Wiser. Alive. And somewhere, deep beneath layers of forgotten space, ancient systems waited once more, silent, trusting that the species they were built for would remember the cost of waking them again. The war had ended. Humanity endured. And the stars would never forget it.